What's up, everybody? My guess is if you clicked on this video, you're looking to improve your short game. You're struggling around the greens with the chipping. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can transfer your ability to putt. Yes, putt, I know you can do that. How you can transfer your ability to putt into chipping. It's way simpler than you think. You don't got to make this really complicated. So with that said, let's get started. I know what you're thinking. Whoa, Darren, you changed your clothes on us. Yeah, I filmed all this stuff yesterday, forgot to hit on for my microphone, so I got a lot of clips that have no volume. But what I was saying was, let's talk about putting and basically what every putting coach talks about when they're teaching the setup and the motion. They want you to get a lot closer to the ball with the putter because we want a lot more compact setup. And the goal is to move the club with our bigger muscles, aka the shoulders and chest, and a lot less with your wrists. And this is because when we use our wrists, there's a lot of face rotation. But when we can take that out, meaning we're just using chest and shoulders and rocking back and forth, it's a lot more consistent, there's a lot less face rotation. Now I stand slightly unorthodox, but it's still the same general thing where we're looking for our arms create this Y with the shaft and our forearms, and we're looking to just rotate back and through, keeping this Y consistent instead of having a lot of this wrist flip back and forth. So we're looking rocker shoulders back and through. Now when it comes to hitting a bump and run, we can take the same ideas and same concepts we do with the putter and transfer it to a chip. Just like the putter, we want to get a lot closer to the golf ball. We don't want to stand so far back like we would with our full swing. We want to get closer to it, which is going to help get the heel of the club off the ground. This is going to help ensure that we don't dig into the grain. It's something that's really easy to do, but if we get that heel off the ground, it's easier to slide across the grass, not have so much dig. Next, just like the putter, we want to have a little bit more narrow stance. We don't need a super wide stance where we're going to shift back and forth. We actually don't want any weight transfer in this, so nice narrow stance. I want your weight a little bit more on your lead side. But then from there, we're really just focusing on, we got that Y created with our arms, and we're just rocking the shoulders back and through. And for this shot here, I'm using a pitching wedge. If you're learning this shot, I would recommend using pitching wedge 9-iron because the leading edge isn't as aggressive. It'll give you a lot more confidence in these shots because you won't get stuck in the grain as much. So now that we've learned how to hit this shot, let's go out on the golf course and talk about what clubs you should hit from different spots. So let's get out there. So I made it out to the course. Before I talk about what clubs you should hit from certain spots, I want to talk about the clubs that I use for chipping, which ones I like. I use my lob wedge, gap wedge, pitching wedge, and 7-iron. I only have 3 wedges in my set, which is why there's only 3 wedges that I'm talking about. And then I like to use the 7-iron because it gets me that really low flighted one that rolls out quite a bit. Now, obviously, all have different lofts. They all do different shots for me. When I'm hitting bump and runs, which is what we're going to talk about next, I generally try to just use gap wedge, pitching wedge, 7-iron because I want them to come out lower and get a little bit more run. So I set up 3 different spots around the screen. We're going to talk about what club I would use from these spots and why I use it. So let's get started with the shortest chip. So the first shot we got is a very short chip. I got to cover about 5 feet of fringe, and then I got about 15 to 20 feet of green. Now honestly, this is a shot where if I was up here, I would probably putt it, but because I'm back here in the rough, I'm going to use a wedge because I don't want to bounce it through this. There'll be a lot of inconsistencies. So for this shot, this is where I go to my 52-degree or gap wedge, whatever you have, because my goal is to land it slightly over the fringe. I want to take out the variables of it bouncing through here because it might dig, it might not, I'm just not really sure. So if I can fly it up here, there's a little bit less variables. And because I don't have to fly very far and it doesn't have to roll very far, that's why I'm grabbing a wedge that has a little bit more loft. So now this shot, same setup as we talked about before. We're getting closer to it, heels off the ground, the ball position slightly back and the weight's forward, and we're really just focusing on moving chest and shoulders. That's what's gonna move the club. No hands, none of that. We're gonna focus on where we wanna land the ball, not where the pin is. Before you hit the shot, you figure out backwards how far it's gonna roll for what shot you wanna hit, and you pick your spot. And then once you get over the ball, that's all you focus on. So I'm looking a little bit on the green, ball in back of my stance, rotate my chest and shoulders, fly it slightly on. Took a little bigger bounce than I wanted, but I got 2.5, 3 feet. We'll take it. So now let's move on to a different chip. So the second chip we have is slightly longer. I gotta cover 8 to 10 feet of fringe, and then I have 30 to 40 feet of green to work with. This is one where I'm gonna grab my pitching wedge because I don't have to fly it crazy far. It's a little farther than the last one, but I need it to roll out farther. If I hit the gap wedge from here and I land it slightly on the green, I don't think it's gonna run out enough to get down to the pin, so I'm gonna take less loft to get a little more roll. This shot, same as the last shot, same as the one we talked about on the putting chipping green, all the same setup, it's just a different club. The different club is going to change how far the ball rolls out. This is the great thing. We have 14 clubs. We can utilize all of them. We can make the same chipping motion and get a different result just based on how much loft's on this club. So, again, closer to it, ball in back my stance, focusing on chest and shoulders. I'm looking to land it a couple feet on the green. I, again, want to cover the fringe because I want to take out that variable. So looking at a spot a little bit on the green. That was slightly farther than I was looking for, but ended up working out pretty good. I'll take that every time. Now on to the last one. Now the last chip is a very long chip. I don't need it to fly very far, but I have 30 to 35 yards of green to work with. This is a chip I'm gonna grab my 7-iron. The reason I'm grabbing my 7-iron is because it's gonna launch nice and low. It's not gonna fly super far, but it's gonna run out a lot. For a shot like this, I think it's way more consistent to get the ball on the ground quicker. Because, say we hit lob wedge here, and our goal was to fly it all the way there. If we blade that shot, it's probably either gonna be in the water that's long, or over the water, which is gonna be quite a tough shot. No one wants to blade it over the green. But if we hit this a little bit thin with the 7-iron, most likely I'm still gonna be on the green, still gonna be putting, maybe I have 10 feet. That sounds way better than being in the water chipping from the other side, right? Right. So, this shot, I grabbed 7-iron because it's gonna roll out a lot. Goal, again, is to land it a couple yards on the green. And same setup, same everything. So, ball in back of our stance, way a little forward, closer to it, heel off the ground. Heel off the ground is real important with a 7-iron. Important thing. And again, focusing on chest and shoulders, moving the club. Focus on that spot, hit that spot. I hit that one a little bit firm, but I think it's gonna roll out to 8, 10 feet from here. Could be better, could be worse. I will take that. So now, as you can see, it's all the same motion. We're not doing anything crazy different. We're just changing the club, focusing on where we want to land it, and executing a shot from there. Now we're going to talk about how to utilize this motion we talked about here into some a little more difficult shots, some that you have to hit a little bit higher. So let's get over there, onto a different hole, find a different shot, and talk about it over there. So now we moved on to a chip that you can't really hit a bump and run. I got rough in the way. I could try and bump it through here, but I think it's a shot a lot of people are gonna wanna fly onto the green. So how can we take everything we learned from those bump and runs and transfer to this one? Well, first off, the motion is the same. We're gonna be working to use our chest and shoulders to move the club and a lot less hands. Now there's just a slight change in the setup. So, like we said before, we wanted the club or ball position in the back when we were hitting those bump and runs. For this one, because we want it higher, we're gonna have it more towards our front foot. And then additionally, because we want the extra height, we're gonna grab a club with a lot more loft. So I grabbed my 58 degree. This is the same concept as I was saying before, where you got 14 clubs in your bag, you can utilize them to get the ball to run out more. For this, we can utilize the higher lofted wedge to get a little more height on it. So we, again, still stand a little closer to the golf ball, weights a little bit more on our front foot, ball position slightly forward, and we're really just focusing on rotating with the chest and shoulders. Nothing crazy, we don't need a whole lot of wrist action. We don't need any wrist action. We're just focusing on rotating back and through. The loft will do the work. So it launched a little bit higher, flew a little farther, and stopped a lot quicker because we had more loft, more speed, and we got a good result out of it. So again, prove it's not a fluke. Ball position's a little more forward. We're a little closer than we would be with our full swing. Still focusing on chest and shoulders moving the club. And that one I even hit a little bit thin, but it worked out. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, you can utilize that same motion in these shots here. Now let's go to a little difficult one where you really got to get up in the air. There'll be a minor adjustment from exactly what we're doing here, but when we get over there, we'll talk about it. So now we have a lot more difficult shot. We have one that we're on a little bit of a downslope. We don't have a crazy amount of green to work with, and if we land it shorter on the green, it's more of a downslope, and if we land it farther, like closer to the pin, it's gonna stop a lot quicker because it's a little more of an upslope. So this one essentially requires a flop shot because we gotta counteract this little downslope. So now how can we utilize everything we just talked about to transfer that into this flop shot? So first off, again, chest and shoulders are mainly what's gonna drive the shot, what's mainly gonna move the club. Little adjustment to the setup. We are going to open our stance, get a lot wider base, and really open that club face up. Like, I mean, really get that thing wide open. Because we need, again, we need that extra loft, and we want to add the loft at address so we can make sure we get that extra height. The only adjustment with the swing motion, again, yes, the chest and shoulders are gonna mainly move it, but we wanna allow this little wrist head up and a little bit release through. But main thing moving the club is gonna be these chests. If we just sit here and we went like this, no chest and shoulder movement, you're gonna be really inconsistent, and I'd be kinda shocked if you even hit the green. So, wider stance, open, really get that club face open. Mostly chest and shoulders moving it, but allow for that little bit of a set, and on the way down, a little bit of the release of the hands. That was so good. I hit it to like 3 feet. I wish I had a camera over there. So again, show you it's not a fluke. I'll do it one more time. Little set of the hands and wrists, little release, but mostly chest and shoulders. That one was a little thin, but it worked out. But as you can see, it's all building off of the putting stroke. We use our bigger muscles, chest and shoulders, to move the club in our putting stroke. We can transfer that to the bump and run. We can transfer that to a little higher pitch. We can transfer that to kind of a semi-flop. So it's just making sure we don't overcomplicate these shots. Keeping it simple. This game's already hard. No reason to make it any harder. So with all that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something in this video. I hope you can transfer it to the golf course, start shooting lower scores. If any of these videos have helped you shoot lower scores, leave a comment down below. Let me know about it. I'd love to hear about it. So again, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It helps out the channel. helps out what I do. It helps me be able to continue doing this. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.